It's Monday. It's March 17th. It is St. Patrick's Day here on the Plus. We are brought to you by Ike's Love and Sandwiches. Our good friends at the Dubliner will certainly be open for business in West Portal today. And if you can't begin a show on St. Patrick's Day with a shot of whiskey, what the hell good is a shot of whiskey? Let's go. Cheers. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Woohoo! Yeah, let's get going. It is good to be with you. Thank you so much. Like, subscribe, all of those good things. We are underway. Just did a hell of a wake up with Kruger, where obviously we were talking about what is your thumbnail here today. Congratulations to the San Francisco 49ers, who have saved an awful lot of upfront cash money so far in this offseason. Are they a better football team? Who could possibly answer that question? Yeah, they're better. Now, it's a full incomplete in terms of team building. But so far, this offseason has so exposed the 49ers to second guessing and criticism that anything short of nailing this draft means there will be careers lost because of this offseason. The off-season choices have been something to behold, especially now with the reversed decision on Kyle Juszczyk. And let's be completely honest, it feels like the 49ers said goodbye to Kyle Juszczyk without any plans on bringing him back, only to then bring him back due to what? Teammates complaining, them feeling that they said goodbye to an important leadership that, was voided without Kyle Juszczyk. They saved $600,000 on a fullback who I think is a waste of money at the price point, no matter what. I mean, Kyle Juszczyk seemed to represent a difference of philosophy, maybe taking hold of the 49ers offensively. They were going to go to more of a two tight end set. They were going to get better, maybe in addition by subtraction from Kyle Juszczyk in the low red zone. Although, look, I think Kyle Juszczyk's a pretty damn good player. I do. But the 49ers basically turned him into a few wheel routes a year and not much else. Feels like they need more. They are full kimono level exposed, full kimono open level exposed as a franchise based on what they've done here this offseason. And last week, I had Dieter Kurtenbaugh of the Merc on as a guest, and he brought up something that, we talked about for a minute, and I thought about it more and more than anything else we talked about over the weekend, where he said the 49ers are going to owe their fan base a come to God press conference, because it officially feels like the 49ers need to begin to start tampering expectations, not lowering them, but tamping them down just a little bit based on what we have seen so far. Brock Purdy's contract is going to be debated to the cows come home, whether you think you're going to be set up to like it or hate it. It is going to land in a way that the criticism will come no matter what. This offseason, the messaging has been wrong. In this draft, what they need is nothing short of an entire defensive line other than Nick Bosa. They need to now replace Dre Greenlaw. They need at least another running back because they just traded Jordan Mason for reasons that I think are stupid. Jordan Mason should be on this team still. They didn't get enough back for him, and he's 5 yards a carry, and he's young, and I don't care how deep your running back draft class is this year, not one of them led the NFL in rushing while they were active and averaged 5 yards a carry. I'm not saying that one of them won't, but this guy has. And I'm more interested in the has already proven than the, well, good luck with that. Maybe it works out. Maybe it doesn't. That is every single draft pick. They need to replace Debo. They need another wide receiver to replace all of the missing in action that Brandon Ayuk is going to be for the first several months of the upcoming football season. They still need a tight end who can back up George Kittle and catch a pass because Luke Farrell doesn't catch passes. They still need Trent Williams' future replacement. They still need interior offensive linemen to be determined. They need a center. They need a guard still. They need another outside linebacker. And in spite of signing 2 safeties, one could argue that they still need a safety and a corner in this upcoming draft, even though those were some of the less than stellar headlines attached to the 49ers offseason so far. They have 1-year deals for cornerback Trey Brown, linebacker Luke Gifford, safety Richie Grant, safety Jason Pinnock, and a new long snapper named John Weeks is in the room. Tabor Pepper had to go too, apparently. Demarcus Robinson, 2-year deal. Nothing to be excited about there as a wide receiver who's going to really change the makeup of this upcoming season. And tight end Luke Farrell, again, at the price point they signed him for, taking over as a part-time fullback, full-time blocking tight end made sense. The fact that they had money for Luke Farrell, who now will just be a blocking tight end, not be taking on Kyle Juszczyk duties, but didn't have a few more $1 million to offer Joey Bosa. It's a little bit of a head scratcher. Again, they've got more money allocated to a backup blocking tight end and a fullback who's on the wrong side of 30 than they do at very important positions along their own offensive line. So good luck. Good luck, 49ers. You are asking for a huge benefit of the doubt to be extended by everybody who watches and covers this team. A billionaire is saving some money that he will never, ever, ever, ever miss. Again, there is no change in Jed York's life or lifestyle based on the money that they're saving this year. So why? Is it a full franchise reset? See everybody in 2026 when we'll have more options, more ability to go out and sign the big splashy names and positions that are really going to affect this season going forward? Well, then you need to readjust expectations, because 49er fans expect a great year here. And I don't know if great year's still hanging out in this 49er locker room. I really don't. I don't. They have to nail this draft in a level of holy shit, you guys nailed your draft, that, they usually don't nail their drafts, and no one does, at the percentage that the 49ers need to hit this draft. So it feels like a whole bunch of good luck with that. Now, again, Kenny, I'm not willing to go here. A 5-win team. I don't think so. There are enough moving parts around next year's scenario that I like. How about this? The entirety of the NFC West except the Rams stinks. It's a last place schedule. I don't know who Robert Saleh's got to coach right now, but just Robert Saleh calling defensive plays has to make this 49ers defense a little bit better. Christian McCaffrey's got to make this offense work a little bit better, even without Debo, even without Ayuk, you would hope. I think they're going to be better than 5 wins, but are they all the way good enough to frickin' be a 12-win team? No, you can't see that either right now. In no ways do the 49ers look like they're about to run roughshod and threaten a 1 seed in the NFC. That boat looks like it doesn't even park in the slip anymore. So it's certainly been interesting. It's certainly given us an awful lot to talk about. JP from the 510 says, last time a sports franchise promoted, just trust the process. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid were the team's front line. I hope the 49ers aren't flushing this season away already. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping too. Congratulations on saving money. Here's the thing, and I said this with Larry on Wake Up. I'm not here to tell you that balancing your spreadsheets, looking at things through the prism of financial responsibility isn't important, because of course it is. It's a cap sport. Of course it's important to make good financial decisions. But when the entirety of an offseason has to be projected through the prism of fiscal responsibility. I thought, look, Dave Lombardi is great at what he does. Dave Lombardi explains the financial minutia that no football fan should ever have to carry about. I don't need to care about dead cap space if these teams don't even care about it. Like, congratulations. Dave Lombardi was able to show me how the 49ers saved $600,000 on Kyle Juszczyk. Great. Interesting. And in another way, not interesting at all, because this isn't why I cover sports. I don't cover sports for the abacus to impress me. I don't. And it'd be ignorant to say it didn't matter, but it is hard to applaud financial responsibility for a team that's about to sell off 10% for nearly $1 billion and will never, ever, 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 ever. You know how many? Here's how many days Jed York will worry about money for the rest of his life. Never, ever to infinity. Put your infinities to ever. The 49ers are just going to stack gold bullion in Jed's vault, whether he be cash liquid now or not, forever. So I'm not going to celebrate financial responsibility. It's not why I get into sports. And I don't think it's why any of you are Niners fans to begin with, or football fans, or sports fans at all. What I am a fan of forever is a delicious sandwich, and my man, who is a cardboard cutout and a graphic right here, my man Cyrus. I'll be back doing Warriors Wednesday with my man Cyrus. That guy, his name is Ike. I know Cyrus wants a sandwich from Ike's. You should want a sandwich from Ike's. If you are ordering catering for your office, maybe you're going to have a big bracket party coming up soon enough. I mean, we got all kinds of hooky to play with the NCAA tournament starting. You don't want people to play hooky? Say we're going to have some games on in the office and everybody's going to get an Ike sandwich. Order Ike's. People will come to work just to get that sandwich. Ike's is fantastic. Join that Love Rewards program. Think about catering for your NCAA bracket party. Think about it for your office, or just think about loading up a whole bunch of Ike's in your refrigerator for yourself. You'll be very happy that you did. And oh, by the way, it is St. Patrick's Day, which brings me to the Dubliner in West Portal. I don't think I have to tell you to get to the Dubliner in West Portal today of all days. It's the day where they might have a line around the corner. It's the day where the Guinness is flowing and the JMO is pouring better than any other day of the year. Thank you to our friends at the Dubliner West Portal for their support here and sponsoring the show. And if you need a Guinness and you're on West Portal today, there is no better stop for you than Dubliner West Portal. Thanks to them very, very much for supporting the channel. And thanks to all of you. Look, I know a lot of you are looking forward to, your St. Patrick's Day today. 49ers Red Zone say, hey, I love the caramel pops. Yeah, you get a good caramel pop when you go ahead and you get you spelt it wrong. There you go. Caramel. Got to have that other A in there. It's fantastic. I like the little Granny Smith apple caramel lollipop that you get for free when you order your Ike sandwiches. I like those too. Big day for Guinness lovers, which I am. I was at Trader Joe's and I picked up one of those little 4-packs of the Guinness nitrous cans. I will have a Guinness tonight for sure. I need a Guinness in my life on St. Patrick's Day, even though we ain't Irish. It is awesome having you here. Hit like and subscribe. Today we went over 38,500. We're on our way to 30. 28,500 subscribers is where we went today. Look at me adding 20,000 subscribers mentally. We went over the 28,500 mark today. So we're on our way to 30. Thank you very, very much for liking, subscribing, for all the support. It means a ton. It really, really does. Again, the 49ers are going to need to support their team with one of the single greatest drafts in the history of this franchise. And as they currently stand, they got 11 picks. One of them is day one, their pick at 11. On day two, they have a second-round pick at 43, 2 third-rounders at 75 and 100. And then they have 7 day 3 picks, 2 fourths, 2 fifths, and 3 seventh-round picks. This team's starting quarterback is a 7th-round pick. So I'm not here to tell you that you can't get an NFL player in the 7th round. I am here to tell you that if you're expecting to get an NFL player in the 7th round, even in a deep draft, you are on drugs. Historically, the odds of coming away with a viable, really helping the team football player in the 7th round are not good. The odds are not in your favor. This is not a criticism. This is not a stretch. This is observable reality that is easy to see for anybody who has watched this sport. If your draft hopes are tied to nailing 3 7th-round picks, you are capital F fucked. So I don't think the Niners can really look at 3 7th-round picks and say, oh, yeah, there's viability there. There is players coming our way with 3 7th-round picks. You're lucky if one of them is, called up from a practice squad at some point in the year, to be honest with you. So, yeah, the Niners do have 11 picks, but 8 of them are where you really find your NFL players. And the last 3 are massive good lucks with that. So, look, success usually does not live in the 7th round. I'm not saying it doesn't visit. I'm not saying it doesn't show up once and again. But don't think that, you just, oh, yeah, man, last pick in the draft, we're going to get another guy who's awesome. No. You don't want to bet on that. Again, you got an offseason that has been a shrug emoji. You got this Jordan Mason trade, which I just think sucks. While you've got concerns about Christian McCaffrey, while Isaac Guerrero is far from being a finished bet-on-it product, you're going to walk away from Jordan Mason too and hand to a team that you'll be directly competing against for NFC viability. John Middlecoff said this had to have been the fastest, easiest trade for the Minnesota Vikings to ever make. The Vikings get Jordan Mason on a 2-year deal worth over $7 million, fully guaranteed. Again, this is couch cushion money. This is something the Niners had saved enough money this offseason so far where having Jordan Mason back was not some untenable dollar amount that meant it couldn't happen. They got Jordan Mason from the 49ers for a 2025 pick swap and another 6th rounder next draft. Not even this draft. So, good luck with that. I hope Jordan Mason runs for 1,300 yards in Minnesota. I really do. And I think he's got the talent to do it. Again, didn't like the Jordan Mason news this weekend. I didn't like pivoting back to Kyle Juszczyk, not because I think Kyle Juszczyk is bad. He's the opposite of bad. He's good. But the age is wrong, the price point was wrong, and the usage was hard to define as game-changing. Kyle Juszczyk is 3 wheel routes a year. That's it. Doesn't feel like you need one of the highest paid fullbacks in football for that. Meanwhile, where is Brock Purdy's contract extension? Get Brock Purdy's contract extension done. Get it done now. Get it done today. Get it done before this live stream ends. Certainly get it done by the end of the week. If you don't get it done, what does that mean? Means it's probably only going to cost you a little bit more the furthermore you kick this can down the road. The price on Purdy today is better than it'll be tomorrow. There is no deal to be struck. If this is the player you like, fucking sign him and get it done with. Quit dickering around with, trying to save a few 100,000 here. That's chump change. Chump change for an NFL team. Brock Purdy's your guy. He's going to be expensive. If he ain't your guy, then you should have had a much different offseason so far. If you're going to play hardball with him, you should have made that decision a long time ago. And for the 49ers to be like, well, they're still not sure about Brock Purdy. If you guys aren't sure about Brock Purdy, everyone in the room should just screw all of you. Like, seriously, this is your player. This is your player. You are pot committed to this player now. There's no coming off this player now. There's no available, this is going to be, Mac Jones is not going to be threatening this guy's job. This is your guy. If you were going to bring this guy back for that $5.5 million price point and franchise tag him, that decision should have been made before free agency began. So don't tell me that they're sitting on a fence and trying to play hardball with this guy. They have to have Purdy on a big extension now. That's the corner they painted themselves into. So finish painting yourself into the fucking corner. Get it done. This is why I have strokes. Well, a stroke. This is why. Get it done. Dan Serrano says, hit that like button. Thank you very much, Dan. Hit that like button. We got over 100 people in the room. We're sitting here. We haven't even hit 40 likes yet. Shame on you. Shame on you. Get the likes up, kids. Zophmus, hold on. D. Bruce needs that Guinness. Seriously, this is a 49ers offseason that is enough to drive a man to drink. Chef A, but do they have a plan? I guess not. Here's the thing. It seems like they got a plan, and it seems like they're changing it a little bit in real time, which means how concrete is this plan? Diecast Garage, 2 words, Cabo Click. Look, it really does feel like there was a tug of war for Kyle Juszczyk that happened after he got released, right? There was a conversation between Kyle and John Lynch, between Kyle and the leaders on his team, George Kittle among them, who probably lobbied the loudest and hardest for him to come back. It seemed like this team was crestfallen that Juszczyk was taken from them. And I do. I believe that leaders matter. I believe that tone setters matter. I believe that captains matter and all that stuff. But if it was emotions that brought you back to Kyle Juszczyk, I hate that coming back to Kyle Juszczyk. I thought Juszczyk vanishing was an admission that things are going to change around here a little bit. We are going to be running more 2 tight end sets. We're not going to be having a player that is basically a position you can look around. And that's what fullback is, a look around position. The reason why fullbacks, when they make their biggest plays, are plays that are catching the other team off guard is because fullbacks are easy to ignore because they don't matter much in modern football. And if you claim to have the best one, he should be one of the reasons why you slip into the end zone from your red zone a bit. Like, at the very least, your fullback has to be a shoehorn that helps you get the shoe on. 49ers couldn't get the shoe on their foot whenever they got into the red zone. They could not slip into the end zone all year long. Did Kyle Juszczyk help with that? No, he didn't. Will he now help with that again? I really don't think so. Running a 2 tight end set with Jordan Mason, who is good against the loaded box, I think that would have helped more than Kyle Juszczyk. Not that Jordan Mason was Mr. Red Zone touchdown last year, but I would like to have seen a little bit more of him get that opportunity than go on back to what I thought were not bad habits, but trends that the league was all over. The 49ers spent 0 plays fooling the NFL last year. 0. They didn't catch really anybody off guard with a single play that they ran. The tendencies have been so studied. Shanahan has been so examined. This offensive line has been so microscopically looked at by the league to improve every team's running game around the coaching that Shanahan does, that there are no secrets left. Everybody's in on how the 49ers do it. So going in a different direction to me was appealing. Going back to the direction that it feels like everybody's onto, less appealing. There have been some eye-watering extensions handed out in the NFL over this weekend. Jamar Chase, $161 million with $112 guaranteed. His $40 million plus annual average value is now the highest for any player who is not a quarterback in football. Again, if you wear the crown of highest paid non-quarterback, you're lucky if you get it for a month. Max Crosby didn't even get it for a couple of weeks. Right? Max Crosby, the highest paid non-quarterback in football, 10 minutes later, you're number 2, Max. New number 1 is Jamar Chase. And look, Jamar Chase is the rare guy who is 100% worth that. Jamar Chase, when it's all said and done, based on the start of his career, could be one of the 20 greatest wide receivers that this league has ever seen. He is awesome. His quarterback is pretty damn good, too. His quarterback has both of his weapons back because T. Higgins signed a monster extension, too, with the Cincinnati Bengals. Bet Joe Burrow would much rather have that money allocated to an offensive lineman to protect him or a defensive lineman to mean that he doesn't have to win every game 45-32. And, you give all that money to one wide receiver, giving so much money to a second wide receiver sounds like something bad teams do. Cincinnati Bengals. Congratulations. You bring back 2 stud wide receivers. Joe Burrow, you might get killed throwing to them. Texans bring back Derek Stingley Jr., their corner, had an awesome year. He just signed a new deal that makes him the highest paid corner in football history. J.C. Horn just signed a deal last week, and again, he got that crown for like 6 days. He got to wear the highest paid corner. The market resets almost every other day, it feels like. It's a good thing there really is no big quarterback contract out there to go by the wayside before Purdy gets his done. But it just feels like the 49ers are wasting their time, our time, and financial prudence by delaying any deal for Brock Purdy. It really does. By the way, I also saw that Myles Garrett said it's never about the money. When you get paid $160 million to stay in Cleveland, shut up. You took the deal. Like, you took the deal. It's like, and I don't care what Tom Cruise does in his own bedroom, but he's clearly got a deal with actresses that if you take this deal and pretend to be my I'm attracted to you sexually wife and stop asking the is he might be gay questions, you will be put on a level of actress hierarchy that allows you to maybe win an Oscar. I see what's later. Anna de Armas, is she dating Tom Cruise now? She took the deal. Nicole Kidman took the deal. The girl from Dawson's Creek took the deal. By the way, the deal didn't really work out for her very bad. We haven't seen what's her face, Tom Cruise's second wife, in a lot of things lately. But there's a deal to be taken. Myles Garrett, you took the deal. You know, the Cleveland Browns are the Harvey Weinstein of the NFL, and you decided to be cast in a big role that pays big dollars. You're just going to lay there and let them fuck you. So, like, you took the deal. It was gross. It was awful, but you took the deal. I don't feel bad for people who took the deal. Sergio, the Tom Cruise in South Park cameo was an instant class. Tom, why are you in the closet? Thank you. Katie Holmes, thank you very much. Michelle Haberman, it's not Oregon's fault, but we can be friends now. Michelle, Oregon beat Indiana. We'll get into my Hoosiers here in just a second, but I was at war with Michelle over the weekend. Her Ducks win. Congratulations. I want to talk a little bit about my Hoosiers, but let's talk about the basketball team that most of you care about first. That's the Golden State Warriors. First of all, congratulations, Steve Kerr, with a win over the Knicks, became the winningest coach in the history of the Golden State Warriors. More wins than Al Attles. That's a big name to leapfrog over. Steve Kerr, the winningest Warriors coach ever. Who would have imagined the change in this franchise the day that Steve Kerr was named Steph Curry's head coach. God, that was just unbelievable. What a moment. And what a huge week of basketball the Warriors have in front of them. First of all, they beat the Knicks over the weekend. That is 7 straight wins. They got the hardest Monday, Tuesday in the NBA. This evening, the Warriors have the Denver Nuggets at Chase Center. Tomorrow evening, it's the Milwaukee Bucks. If the Warriors wake up on Wednesday morning 2-0 over their next 2 opponents, we can talk about going to the NBA Finals for reals, for reals, for reals. Until then, let's pull back on that just a little bit. The Raptors are here on Thursday. Then it's the last big road trip of the year for the Warriors in their regular season. It's a 6-game road trip that'll start in Atlanta and then bring them all the way back to the West Coast, wrapping up with the Lakers in April. It's a great time. It's March, baby. Watching Indiana's name not come up on that selection show. Hold on. We'll get there in a second. Look, if you're a Warriors fan, you're very excited. Everything that's happening right now is awesome. Keep it going. You beat the Nuggets tonight. Holy shit. You beat the Milwaukee Bucks tomorrow night. Holy shit. And we'll see what the Warriors look like going forward after that. But this is a big 48 hours for the Warriors. So interesting. Our good friend Ralph Barbieri said something that is very true, it echoes in my mind all the time when Ralph said, 2 things can be equally true. The Indiana Hoosiers didn't really deserve to be in this year's NCAA tournament. That is true. They also got completely screwed out of appearing in this year's NCAA tournament, and that is true. Indiana being left out of the tournament didn't bother me right up until I saw North Carolina invited. Then I got angry. Because in how we evaluate bubble teams from mid-majors, there is no world in which North Carolina should have been evaluated as the vulnerable high major team that gets a bad seed in this tournament because they're in the tournament. Indiana should have been in before North Carolina. And I do not tell you that because I'm an angry Indiana fan. Again, I'm not even angry that they're not in the tournament. But I am angry that they're not in the tournament, so North Carolina can be, because North Carolina didn't deserve to be in this tournament before Indiana, and that is not just my opinion. Let me take you to Jon Rothstein, who on Barstool Sports had this to say. Again, this isn't me. This isn't some bitter Indiana fan. This is Jon Rothstein, who loves the NCAA tournament, loves the selection community, loves college basketball, and doesn't want to say a bad thing about any of it, but here's what he had to say. This is not me being angry. Here's Jon Rothstein with Barstool.
We got UNC in there. And John, just but a couple days ago, you were passionately making your declaration that UNC would not be in the first 4. What's going on with it? Because I know that you talked Bubba Cunningham, the AD from UNC. So what happened?
This is one of the biggest miscarriage of justices that I have seen in all my years covering college basketball. And when you think right now about what the criteria is to get teams into the NCAA tournament, at the end of the day, what is always going to usurp everything is who did you play, where did you play them, and did you win? North Carolina was 1-12 against quad 1 opponents. That is just a fact of life. And then when you look at some of the teams that were left out of the bracket, the 2 that I'm looking at specifically is West Virginia and Indiana. And remember, with North Carolina's resume, Carolina also had a quad 3 defeat on its resume, which Indiana, who was left out of the tournament in favor of North Carolina, did not have. Indiana won a road game at Michigan State in East Lansing, who is a 2 seed right now, okay, in the South region, which I've named the region of depth because of the depth that exists with the Spartans, Auburn, Texas A&M, and other programs in that region. And Indiana also beat Purdue at home. I don't understand how Carolina can get in over Indiana if Indiana won a game at Michigan State and beat Purdue and doesn't have a quad 3 or 4 loss, and Carolina does. But what about...
Thank you. Again, I don't give a shit about West Virginia, so we're not going to stick around for that portion of it. But it based on criteria that the tournament said is important, taking North Carolina over Indiana pisses me off. Now, let me just say this. Indiana doesn't deserve to be in the NCAA tournament, but they deserved it more than North Carolina. So that pissed me off. They are not going to the NIT. Like I said on assembly call this past weekend, they're not taking an NIT bid. They are not going to be in any postseason anything. It is time to get rid of Mike Woodson. It is time to get rid of half of that team and start anew with a right coaching hire. But man, I was pissed off to not see Indiana's name come up in the bracket in the tournament selection show after North Carolina's did. I saw North Carolina and I thought, well, if Carolina's in, we're totally in. And then when we weren't, that's when I was upset. That's when I got upset about the whole thing. Oh, pissed me off. Another thing that upset me a little bit over the weekend is that Jon Feinstein passed away. Jon Feinstein was the author of many sports books, none of which is better than A Season on the Brink. A Season on the Brink, arguably one of the great books of sports ever penned by anybody. You go to any, this is a great genre of book about sports. Season on the Brink is in just about everybody's top 10. And it deserves it. It's an incredible book. Incredible access that he had to Bob Knight and the Hoosiers in 1986. It's incredible. So I got to know Jon Feinstein a little bit working some CBS shows with him. And I'll tell you, he was always wonderful to me. He was a really nice guy to me. I like Jon Feinstein an awful lot, and it stinks that he's gone. Never daunted. Ultimately, IU is a smoking hole in the ground for at least one season unless a splash hire is made and he gets those transfers. Yeah, look at what Dusty May did. How about Dusty May 1 year at Michigan has already won a Big Ten tournament and Indiana never has? Get the right kids who want to work hard, rebound, play defense. Get the right coach to start preaching some defensive discipline into these teams. Stop coddling all your NIL guys. Stop recruiting guys who are pussies to come play basketball at Indiana. Stop recruiting. I don't mean to sound like Dockett here too much, but stop recruiting guys who are more interested in TikTok dances than they are rebounds, for God's sakes. It's time to return Indiana to the realm of angry men who want to win. I'm all done with cute Indiana. And the truth is, we're a football school now. So who would have ever thought the SEC is now a basketball conference and Indiana is now a football school? Things have gotten weird around here. And on that note, are you ready for a little today in history? I hope indeed that you are, because that's where we are in today's show. Here we go. Today in history. Happy birthday, Mia Hamm. Delicious last name. Mia Hamm is 53 years old. She was born in Selma, Alabama, and goes on to become what? I don't even think there's an argument to be made. Mia Hamm is one of the single most successful American-born soccer players, regardless of gender, we've ever had. Mia Hamm is probably a better female soccer player than any male soccer player that America's ever produced. So I don't know a lot about soccer, but I do know who Mia Hamm is, which means whatever she did, it worked. Congratulations, Mia, and happy birthday. We go to 1762. Today in 1762, Irish soldiers serving in the British Army in New York City held the first ever St. Patrick's Day parade. How about that? Fighting the British. And they still, you're here as an invading, occupying force, and you're still going to have a parade? The balls. By the way, today in 1776, British General William Howe had to evacuate Boston after a successful siege by a general named George Washington, and the Revolutionary War is underway in 1776. And that happened 4 years after the first St. Patrick's Day parade happened because of British soldiers. And then, of course, your St. Patrick's Day parades are happening all over the place on St. Patrick's Day. It is also what? Corned beef and cabbage day? I mean, that's a meal you don't get excited about. It just happens, I guess, on St. Patrick's Day. Today in 1958, the very first solar-powered satellite called Vanguard 1 was launched from Cape Canaveral, Florida. The small satellite weighed less than 4 pounds, stopped transmitting all the way back in 1964. It wasn't a long ride, but it was the first. Today, Vanguard is an app where I go to check how my 401k is dying. It's amazing how the stock market really matters until you-know-who, President fucking Orange Guy, destroys it, and then all of a sudden, it doesn't matter anymore. It's just a big market correction. I'm smelling bullshit everywhere I look. Today in 1973, Dark Side of the Moon. Today in 1973, Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon hit the Billboard 200 chart and stayed there for 736 weeks. How was the Dark Side of the Moon so successful for so long? Well, there's two things that officially happened. Number one, it's Dark Side of the Moon. It's a freaking monster. That's the most important thing, because without that, what have you really got? But because Dark Side of the Moon is such a monster, that it's an annual rite of passage. If you have not done Dark Side of the Moon through high school, you get it like your first day in college. It feels like Dark Side of the Moon is part of every college kid's first psychedelic experience. As it should be. As it should be. Get respect to Dark Side of the Moon. Come on, it's a monster. 736 weeks on the Billboard Top 200 chart. It's because it's an annual rite of passage. You can't have your first mushrooms experience without Dark Side of the Moon being there. So someone's got to go out and buy it every week for 736 consecutive weeks. Today in 1992, South Africa passed a set of laws that started to abolish apartheid. Great. Now America is bringing it in or something. I don't like the world as I look at it, and neither should you. Oh, by the way, St. Patrick died today in 461, and that is why it is St. Patrick's Day. So if there's ever a tariff on Guinness, I'll be really upset, because I do love me a Guinness. By the way, when it comes to Mia Hamm, H.M. Murdoch, that howling mad Murdoch from the A-Team, she married Noma. Noma! Yeah, she did. She married Nomar. And yeah, when that lion roars for a third time, Dark Side of the Moon, Wizard of Oz, put it on. And I'm telling you, there is nothing there. There was no intent. Having said that, when you time it right, it's incredible. And it does look like there was intent to match up the first 30 or so minutes of The Wizard of Oz to Dark Side of the Moon. It is kind of amazing. Not just because I was on mushrooms when I watched it, but you could do that sober and you're like, huh. Okay. All right, then. That's the show. If you are a Niner fan feeling anxiety, it just means you're alive. You should. This is an off season that has left everybody going, okay. If you're an Indiana fan, you should be okay with your season being over, but North Carolina's season going to the tournament with our season being over is, again, John Rothstein will tell you it's one of the greatest miscarriages of justice he's ever seen covering the sport. So that's not me just being cranky about it. There's a neutral observer. And if you are an observer of the Golden State Warriors, what a couple of days we have. Nuggets tonight, Bucks tomorrow. Those are good basketball teams. Let's see what the Warriors got against really good teams that won't be coming in with a big player not available for whatever reason. These are no more complaining about the Warriors' success against the strength of schedule that might not be offered by their opponents right now. You want a strength of schedule? You got one coming up here. So let's go. It's March. It's basketball. Basketball matters, and that makes Damon happy. I hope it makes all of you happy, too. It certainly made me very happy that you chose to spend some of your very precious free time with us here, either live in the live stream or watching later. Either way, please hit like and subscribe. It is wonderful to have you around. Much more content coming up throughout the week. I can promise you that. And, yeah, it's good to have you here. We are underway. And the NCAA tournament starts this week. Even without Indiana in it, that will make me happy. Not as happy as I could be, but I do love the NCAA tournament, no matter who or what is or isn't in it. Like and subscribe, my good friends. Thank you. Eat at Ike's. Go get a Guinness at the Dublin or West portal. And please do remember that sports don't build character. They reveal it. And like that, he's gone.